Oh, yeah! Welcome out once again. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and this is that boom bat breakfast in case you didn't know. And this is Women's Wednesday, so let's get it. First of all, let me introduce you to your host with the most. Let's start it off with, you know her as Erica Kane, aka Ricky. And you can call her LJ for short, Lucretia. And Jackie.
Hey.
Wake up.
Yeah, that's going to take a minute, but we can keep going.
Hey, that's Ricky. I was over here struggling, but if the music is on now, we good.
Oh,
y'all
I like that song. Thanks.
I'm awake. I had an actual morning. I didn't have to rush, get nobody to the bus stop. Right back. Yeah. I actually drank some coffee.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
Believe it or not, I am still like beat up from Saturday. This whole post-surgery thing is really hard. It's very difficult. I'm not enjoying it at all. I've got like probably, I don't know, a fourth, maybe a third of the energy I used to have before. But then I remember I have to remind myself, I didn't just have one major surgery in November. I had 7 surgeries before that.
Yes.
Wow. So I had 8 surgeries last year. And my body is just like, I do not know what you thought I was going to do after I was cut up that much, but you're not doing a lot of anything for the next year. So I was hoping I could go to Nicaragua, and I know now I cannot do it. I cannot do all of the activity, and I can't do it. I can't do anything until next year. The most I can do, I'm going to go to my dad's for his birthday at the end of the month. And then I'm going to escape to Colombia at some point and be gone for a few weeks. But that's all I can. And it is so frustrating and it is so annoying. But I mean,
take your time, pace yourself.
I'm not used to that. I'm not.
Hey.
I'm just, and it's really frustrating because I feel like I am so unproductive because I'm just so used to like being and going and doing and just not, 3 hours of sleep and all this. Yeah, no. And I'm 56. I'm not like 20. So
now
I'd already worn down.
Now is the time to use that computer, do more podcasting, get the word out, let everybody know all the different things that your organization is doing, and you could do it from home in the comfort with, what's that dog's name again?
Oh man! Don't mess up his name. Don't.
Maati.
Nope.
Hey, Lucretia, how is it in the 1500s over there in the Dark Ages?
Wow, just go ahead. We don't want to do this.
So rude.
No, go ahead. We're not having this conversation.
Wow. It's Kimathi, okay? Don't try to change the subject.
Damn, okay? Why you had to bring it back? I thought we talked about that. We moved past.
Nope, it's Women's Wednesday.
Y'all gotta keep me on point, man.
That's why I appreciate you. Didon Kimathi.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate you.
African are you?
Listen. Are you questioning my Africanism? I am not a descendant of
that colonized tongue.
That colonizer Africanos. Anyway, Lucretia, how's it been?
It was good. My friend got ordained this past weekend in Atlanta, so I flew down there and
wait. You was where?
Macon. I was in Macon, Georgia.
Oh, it sounded like you said Atlanta.
I
That's what I
flew to
heard.
Atlanta. That's where the airport is.
Yeah, I know where the airport is, and you ain't called nobody. What do you
No,
Okay,
mean?
let
because
me get
we
old
were
grandma
very
on you.
late. We like missed our flight. It was a thing. There was like 3 hours of sleep. Yeah.
Wow.
Why did you just go old grandma on it? You ain't call
You
nobody.
ain't call
You was
nobody.
in town and you didn't call your grandma.
I'm saying, you come to
Would you
my town.
answer if I had called? I don't know.
Yes, and then Ricky came like the other week, and I ain't give her no pass, and she coming to Atlanta. I was like, yo, y'all wildin'. Y'all better check in.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how
Anyway,
Last I checked,
I was
my daddy in
making.
Fayetteville.
it was so nice. It was so hot. It was like 90 degrees down there, but
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah. Now I'm got the pressure. I don't know what I'm gonna do for my ordination, but I got some time before I plan that.
Is it like a big celebration kind of thing?
Yeah, and she like crosses the threshold from seminarian to reverend, so now she can use
Oh,
that officially and
Wow.
everything. So she's ordained by the congregation and the denomination. So yeah,
Nice. What denomination, if you don't mind?
Unitarian Universalist.
Although they're nice people, I like them.
I don't even
Do
know.
they come to your door?
No,
No,
Oh,
No.
no.
I don't
Thank
put those
goodness.
words together at all.
You be hiding behind the curtain while they be ringing the doorbell. Yeah, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know. Y'all
I love
witnessed
running
it.
into people, Jehovah's Witnesses at the door, because they're like, "Do you know Jesus?" And I'm like, "Actually, let me bring."
Jay
bring out
wasn't
the
even a
Lord.
letter.
Let's
Jay
talk
wasn't
about
even a
it.
letter then.
Do you know about Aramaic? Yeah, and I'll just
Do you know about the Torah?
yeah.
Take it there. Hey, I be knowing some things here and there, I be reading
You know,
sometimes.
there was this Jehovah's Witness.
About Jackie, because that is a struggle that I think we all have with Jackie about relaxing a bit.
Mm.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell Jackie to rest.
Rest, Jackie.
You can't hide, Jackie. Hey, Jackie, real quick. Jackie, real quick. I got a question for you.
After this, take a nap.
To that point,
she done fell out the chair. Let's get it together.
Kamati's like, wait.
Kamafi, help her out.
Look at y'all come to say Jackie.
So cute.
I will say though, it's not just Jackie though. Like,
No, because let's explain what Ricky Ryan does.
Okay, well, hold on.
Oh, see, she trying to take the props off of her. Keep going, Ricky.
Right, I didn't just have surgery, so you relax.
True. Okay.
There's a rhythm, right? And so when you do something all the time in a certain way, to not do it, I mean, to get a John Baraka to sit the hell down right now, he's supposed to be on vacation.
Right.
So it's very hard to ask people who do this consistently to stop or to slow down, right? But I do think one of the things that I do value in Sharice's work around mutual comradeship is that it allows for people to set a standard in how we alleviate certain pressures in one another. So like as we're working together, it's like, I know you're not going to stop, but maybe not do 10 things. Maybe not do that. Maybe you could do the 3 things. Keep yourself busy, and then we'll figure out who can do the rest or who can help you. We brought on a co-coordinator for Jackie. So in things like that, we're trying to alleviate certain pressures. But to ask this woman to stop or slow down, because I don't think you recognize those sort of changes. And then also because Jackie is still moving, I don't think people recognize that Jackie literally just had surgery, right? So there's like a grace that's necessary for
get her.
There's some things that you can see as a product of that doing too much. So
yes.
I see that as a comrade. Why y'all need to chill?
I mean, I get it, Jackie. I pulled a muscle in my back a couple weeks ago playing basketball, but guess where I was yesterday? Killing them on the basketball court. I can't stop it. I'm addicted.
I need to of this too.
And those muscles are like, why are you doing this to us?
I mean, you pay for it in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
you
is
don't
hard.
want that.
It is very hard, and it's something I don't think I tried to anticipate because I am a control freak. I have control issues.
Mm.
I tried to anticipate everything that I would need, right? So I had a schedule for people to come and help me right after surgery for like a month. And then I'm like, okay, I can get up and down the stairs. Okay, I don't need any help overnight and everything. And I was slowing down, had family coming to help and everything. And then when I kind of felt better, it was like, well, let me just go back to, and I did not understand how my body was just not ready to do any of those things yet. And it's frustrating because I'm still not ready. But again, I forget very often how many surgeries I had last year. So I am not just recovering from one surgery. I'm recovering from all that shit. And it's gonna take a minute. And oh God. And then there's the whole mental thing too, right? Can we be real? Because we Africans, this country has gaslit us. It has manipulated us. It has told us that our problems are our fault, that we bring it all on ourselves, and we are, sick and dying and frustrated and stressed out. And we don't like to tell people how all of it affects us mentally. Well, I think we've gotten to the point where we're like, okay, we'll go to the doctor, right? Most of us, a lot of us, especially older folks, maybe not so much younger folks. And I understand that. I get it because you're young, you're healthy, you got all this energy. You don't think you need to go to the doctor. We've all been there. I would just tell you, take your ass to the doctor once a year, get a physical, one time a year. That's it. But we are okay with talking about, how we feel physically. But I think we are still very much under this cloud of shame, talking about how all of this affects us mentally, on top of, well, no, that's on the bottom, but everything else that comes with life on top of that, it just makes it worse. It's just, so a lot of us need therapy and medication and some serious, I don't want to use self-care because that's not it. Some serious self reflection, I guess, or just to really build ourselves up, because this stuff, it messes with your self-esteem. It really does make you feel like I'm not good enough to do this because I don't have the energy. And then you got personal stuff happening and people don't know what you're going through. And then people want to have an attitude with you and they wonder why you pissed off all the time. Because I'm sick. How about that? I'm sick and I'm frustrated and I'm tired, and you making my life even more miserable. And it's just like, come on, y'all. We have got to be better to each other than we are, and we really got to be better to ourselves. And that's for me too, because I do suck at taking care of myself. I'm great at taking care of other people. I love taking care of other people, but I suck at taking care of myself. So
speaking
I know
of,
I got with that. Yeah. And thank you, Elon, for for keeping me sane. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to you.
Well, we like to start off, get into our first segment with a little question. Speaking of, since we're on that topic, when's the last time you've got a checkup, Lucretia? Do you do it like every year? I'm just trying to get understanding, because I know women have more parts in their body than guys do.
I'm gonna skirt that question and say yes. I also like to do acupuncture because it was under my insurance, but not anymore. But yeah, I don't mind going, so I go when I need to. Very recently, like a few months ago.
I got acupuncture done before my back had problems. What about you, Ricky?
I would like to try acupuncture, actually.
I'm not talking about acupuncture. I'm talking about how often do you go to you do checkups and stuff like that? Once a year or more?
Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah, because why you crossing your arms like that? Nah, y'all get mammograms. Y'all gotta go.
I'm just
get all that stuff done.
More body parts.
Y'all got more body parts than we do.
What? How many more? I'm just curious because I need an inventory of
Y'all at least got two more.
they're not extras. You have
men have breasts as well.
Men can get breast cancer.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't.
You're doubting
my,
us.
my sister keep trying to tell me I need to go to the doctor. So I'm like, man, listen.
Just
If
once
I
a year.
start bleeding or something like that, okay.
Yes, that's what happens when you go to the doctor. You go to the doctor, and all of a sudden, your blood just comes right out of your body.
Can I just say something about going to the doctor though? Because it's a struggle that I have with like the elders in my family. They will go to the doctor, but they will go to the doctor and say nothing.
Yep.
And then come home, rub themselves down with Vicks and
not do anything. Yeah.
yeah. So they would be, everything hurts. Or they'll call each other and they'll talk about every single ailment. And then when I suggest, like, why don't you say these things to the doctor? Or even when I go to my mom, like, I'm always like, and tell them about.
Exactly.
They go to the doctor and play hide and seek.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the doctor and be like, nope, nothing's wrong.
You find it. You the doctor, you find out what's wrong. Shit, I'm paying you all this money. I feel that. Hey, man. Rub some tussin on it. All right, I guess it's time to get to some news and stuff like that. We got some special guests coming at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock, so make sure y'all tune in for that and tune in for the whole show. What am I talking about? Ginger ale. And listen, don't get that ginger ale that's got actually, the Canada Dry. It don't even got ginger in it.
No. Rock Creek. Nope. It's Rock Creek.
Oh, that's the kind of burn your whole throat out.
Yes.
Woo, Lord.
Powder in that junk.
Oh.
That
made me ready to throw up.
Or that Korean, it's like yuzu and like ginger. It's like a mix, and you can just add water. It's so good.
Or how about you just get some ginger?
In Acolada. Rub yourself down with Acolada.
Huh? I want these things.
Okay.
Boil some ginger tea, and that's the best ginger.
It's black. It's like a waxy thing.
Okay. All right. Put your phones on mute. Thank you.
Sorry. Hey, look.
Right.
My Temu orders. Leave me alone.
Are you?
Leave me alone.
Temu come through. Stop playing. All right. Boom. So let's go ahead and get to our first break right here at No Other on Women's Wednesday on the Remix Morning Show. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I'll go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Yo, thank y'all for tuning in. We got 317 people watching right now. Can y'all hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, and share like you care. All right, what else you can do? Oh, I'll tell you what else you can do. You can also drop in something since we are demonetized with no gain through YouTube for the next couple months. You can go to our Cash App, drop something so these ladies can get a little pay for, and we can get some light going on for Lucretia. And she really needs it. We still working on getting a car for Ricky, but y'all know about that too. Your house, like I said, Patreon. All right, boom. So let me tell you what's going on real quick right here. I'm going to give an artist spotlight. I didn't get time to pull up my whole screen in the back to do that, but let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let me take you to the record store. Let's talk about my homegirl. Y'all ready for this? Jody Watley. Yes. Oh my goodness. Talk about I had a real love for her. Let me tell you a little bit about Jody, or aka Jody Vanessa Watley. She's a singer, songwriter, producer. She did pop, R&B, jazz, house, dance, and from the 70s to the 80s, she was killing the game, especially with Shalimar, as I talked about yesterday with Howard Hewitt. In case you didn't watch, go back and watch that. But she blew up. 1988, she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist, and she got a Lifetime Achievement Award. She got so many awards, it's ridiculous. You're talking about Billboard Award. She got featured in Vogue Italia in 2008. I mean, Billboard even ranked her 21 most successful dance artists of all time just for her dancing, yo. I mean, you knew she blew up coming off of Soul Train. She also is the first ambassador to the National Museum of African American Music. She got an honorary doctorate in business, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award by Old Joe. And man, she even got a radio show on Sirius Satellite, the Jody Watley Show. So yeah, Jody is that woman coming straight out of Chicago, and she's actually a little bit of nepotism got her into the industry. She's the goddaughter of Jackie Wilson. Yes, one of the best to ever do it. So yeah, she did that. Like I said, she wind up getting with Shalimar, blowing up. They gave you all them hits. And then she wound up moving to England, and she wound up working with Musical Youth. You know Musical Youth, past the Dutchie on the left-hand side. Yeah, that. So then after coming back from Europe, she was like, you know what? It's time to do me. So she came out with a self-titled album, Jody Watley, in 1987. And she co-wrote actually like 6 of the 7 songs on the album. That's why she also got an award for writing. So yeah, she did that, blew up, came out with some more albums, and then I came out with her next album, which had the joint Real Love on it that blew up, which had Friends, and like I told you yesterday, was one of the first to start the whole hip-hop R&B collabos, because you also had Melly Mel with Shaka Khan, you know, so that did that too. So she did a lot. So big up to Jody Watley. She's still around. She actually has a sister that's in the porn business. No, I know you didn't really care about that, but there you go. All right, so she got 9 albums. Big up to Jody Watley. She's doing that house music now. So keep it up, Jody. We see you out there. All right, let's get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do.
Said I would get over you. Now I'm here on my own, trying to live my life.
Man, I was in love with Jody Watley.
Obsessed with Jody Watley.
Shalimar, I don't think they get the credit they deserve.
They don't.
Jody Watley certainly doesn't get the shine she deserves, and that woman is still gorgeous. Have you? Do you got a picture of her currently?
I can pull it up. You know I can.
Her and Bruce Leroy just absolutely did not age.
I mean, I know black don't crack, but doggone goodness, just and just the talent. Ugh.
I was obsessed. I started, my dad in the 80s, I was born in 86, by the way, so I was like a baby. But my dad used to record videos on VHS. So I grew up seeing Real Love, that video, over and over. And that's how I started dancing. That, Pleasure Principle, Escapade.
Yes, this woman.
Leather jackets I was obsessed with. Like, love Jody Watley. That's why I don't like how I just do not.
I'm looking in the chat room. Everybody's looking up her her sister to find out what she
Hey, look.
Midori.
Work is work.
Hey, work is work. You gotta get it.
Gotta eat.
Yo, she's done so much. Talking about dance, writing Hall of Fame, her own shows on radio. I mean, she's a living legend.
She is. She really is. And I wish I'm glad you gave her the props. Because she deserves it, and she deserves so much more. Just we got to big up our people, especially when they do good stuff that make us feel good.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do all of Shalimar this week?
Nah, the other guy.
Well, because in the comments yesterday,
I know they taught him how to moonwalk. Taught Michael how to moonwalk and all that.
Is that what they said? I didn't see that part. They said that he was married to Stephanie Mills. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that. I didn't know about the teaching Michael the moonwalk thing. Because I had heard that was James Brown. How to do that.
Right. I heard that was James Brown.
But it was James Brown is the originator of all them dance moves. It's just like to coin this is it. And then Michael was like, let's call it the moonwalk. You know how they be biting people. But let me get out of here. Let y'all get to some more important things. Y'all have a good
one. How y'all ladies doing?
Peace. Peace Remixers. Wednesday, Women's Wednesday, June 12th. It's myself, Ricky Ryan, Jackie Lukman, and Lucretia. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Support the Patreon. Support the Cash App.
Like, wait,
we're under the gun still for like
At least a month.
How long are we going to be able to keep that
Right.
name on the cash?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we appreciate the support. Yeah, I guess we can get into the news.
Yes, let's. I really feel like I should run and put on a leather jacket. Exactly, a leather jacket and a beret.
Like the Charlie
Come back with some wraparound black shades. Here's the news.
we
to
aired out
wow.
this angel. I just think he likes making a graphic. He really enjoys it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take it from him. It's catchy. I mean, I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. So now I'm feeling very drop squadish, 70s, Charlie's Angels. Let's bring you the news.
Get to it, baby.
Oh,
It makes me think of airplane.
you jive turkeys.
Shout out to Leslie Nielsen. What a
Oh
gem.
my gosh, those movies were freaking brilliant. I
What a
don't
gem.
care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I crack up still watching those movies.
And as
Hilarious.
far as I know, remains unproblematic. I haven't heard anything.
No, I mean, and it's funny because as much as they walked right up to the line of problematic, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's not an insult. They're just funny, okay. And it's like, whoo, that was close. So it's weird that the airplane movies have pretty much stood the test of time. And that's basically, there are not a lot of movies that can do that, because you look back on a lot of these old movies and there's all kinds of like, oh, that's a rape scene, Jesus. And
He's a gem.
mhm, mhm.
We can get into the news. I have
Yeah.
a story, Jackie, Lucretia. If y'all want to
No, go ahead.
well, I can go.
Yeah, go.
Producer, if you would like to produce.
Uh,
A little dead air, right?
hello.
A little dead air. That was us.
What he went to the
You need
bathroom?
to tell me what story you want to pull up.
I only have one.
Smart.
He ran off to the bathroom. He trying to.
Right. If that was us on dead air, he'd be coming through.
That is hilarious.
If you want to zoom, because I can't see these little tiny birds. So Jay-Z is still busy. Most recently, he has gotten himself involved in the Philadelphia or Pennsylvania education system. And we have activists and organizers who have spoken out against this. So the article, I'm going to read a bit of it to get into details, but the headline reads, "This ain't it. Pennsylvanians slam Jay-Z's Rock Nation for school voucher push." It says, quote, "An out-of-state billionaire is partnering with a suburban Philadelphia one to try to destroy public education," said one critic. Jackie, if you can read, because I cannot.
Yeah. Gotcha. Let's see. Pro-public education groups plan a rally at the Pennsylvania state capitol. Educators and advocates on Friday criticized hip-hop icon Jay-Z's company Rock Nation over a campaign backing a proposed school voucher program in the Commonwealth. And the campaign's Dine and Learn events in Philadelphia this month are intended to share information about the Pennsylvania Award for Student Success, or the PASS, or Lifetime Scholarships, as supporters call them. If approved by state legislators in the next budget, the program would put tax dollars toward education opportunity accounts for certain families to send their children to K-12 private schools rather than low-performing public ones. Just to be clear, for those not in Pennsylvania, the legislation Jay-Z is supporting here is a Republican-led effort to gut public education. We have enjoyed such a special connection with Philadelphians, so we've made it our mission to invest in the long-term success of the city's change makers. Oh, he got a script writer because he don't know those words. Rock Nation managed director of philanthropy Dania Diaz said in a statement, impact starts with the students and with awareness. We want to empower the youth and families with the knowledge to pursue their scholastic dreams, make their voices heard, and become the leaders of tomorrow. What about all the kids that, let me stop. Ricky, go ahead. Because I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate it
Well,
so much.
I have thoughts.
Stop, please.
So yeah, I think last week we talked about, was it last week or maybe the week before, Lucretia? Maybe you and I spoke about private education and charter schools and the advert of that. I see people in the chat. Chichi Macha was saying, how do people who actively publicly state they don't read, why do they continue to get involved in these private education endeavors, right? Especially someone who thought that being called a capitalist is essentially right. So the head word of private education, especially in the back and forth, right? So there are Philadelphian citizens who do not see this as a bad thing, right? Essentially, because in their mind, if public education is failing, someone stepping in to alleviate that failure is not a bad thing. It is actually a positive. But what the organizers are stating is that, like, funding private education, which constantly fails working class and poor families, is never a solution that anybody benefits from. When we look at what charter schools has done over the last 20 years, it has gutted public education. So when we see things like failing schools or low scores, this is a product of public education being gutted for the benefit of these private, institutions that are supposed to be better. And again, like you said, we have been you said earlier, we have been gaslit and manipulated into, thinking that we are a product, or our failures is a product of our own doing, right? So the parents who are seeing this are saying, oh, it's somebody needs to have stepped up.
Right.
And because they're not, and so for organizers, it's like, but there are groups of people who are stepping up, and that's why people are pushing back against this, because we realize, or we recognize, that this is not a solution. This is pretty much more branding for Rock Nation, right? This program would only help 1,000 kids that attend private schools for 1 year. So how do we know that the private school will meet their needs? Because if the students break private school rules and they get expelled, do they get the vouchers back? Like, what happens? So it doesn't really help. So the focus, it doesn't help the average student in low performing. It will help them. It will hurt them profoundly. And then already enrich. Well, it would enrich the already affluent school operators, because essentially that's who would be benefiting from this, not the students. When we talk about private education, the school operators make a lot of money, right? Yearly, those salaries are huge. So this is not really about low performing schools, and it's certainly not about students. So this is, the organizers are calling it like a classic Trojan horse.
Yes.
So it's meant to defund and ultimately dismantle public education. And the principle that they have a responsibility to public education. And this is why we advocate for community control of public education, community control of our schools, right? Because then we would have a say in this. And right now, I think what's being obfuscated is the fact that while people are praising Jay-Z, right? Because someone had to help these students. Nobody was doing anything. And this man swooped in from Brooklyn to save the day, right? And that's right, because the idea that Dr. Oz was running for something and he came from nowhere was a big deal. But this man coming from a whole nother city and state, where we see what charter schools and private education has done to New York City public education, to then say, oh, I'm going to come and give some vouchers to a city I don't even live in, that I benefit from yearly from Rock Nation concerts, right? Because you know how much money Live Nation makes, and he's a partner with Live Nation.
Right.
So he definitely benefits off the city of Philadelphia. So maybe that's why he says, or that's why there's a language of like feeling obligated to help these students. But I think what's being missed is, while we see them make particular comments about politics, right? Or
Mhm.
we see them make particular comments about Republicans in the Democratic Party, right? Or Obama and Joe Biden and things like that. It's being very much ignored that this endeavor is being backed and pushed by a Republican billionaire with
Mhm.
intent to gut public schools.
Yep.
That is
Yep.
a long-term plan, right? So then Jay-Z comes in and
Mhm.
becomes the face of that. And that is not dissimilar to what he has done for Barclays, right?
Right.
Barclays has completely changed the demographics of downtown Brooklyn. It has completely changed the economics of downtown Brooklyn because all those little mom and pop stores can no longer
Mhm.
afford to rent down there. People's rent has increased. People's mortgages have increased. Black families who have been down there for decades have been displaced because of Barclays. And all this man essentially was a less than 3% owner and the face of, right? So now here he's coming in a whole nother city to do the same.
Mhm.
I think that these
Mhm.
things that, it needs, I'm very happy to see, especially organizers that I know personally are the ones at the face of this pushback.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean the whole thing, I'm actually surprised, Ricky, that as much as I put no stock into the man's awareness outside of himself, and his knowledge of real life and real issues, because we need to understand celebrities and politicians live in a world that is different from ours. They live in a very tight, cloistered bubble, and folks like Jay-Z and them come out. Well, no, Jay-Z is trotted out in front of us to sell these nasty, evil ideas. And see, Kimathi mad. He mad because he don't like it. To sell these nasty, evil, anti-human ideas to Black folks. That's Jay-Z's role. I don't believe I don't know that he has put up, I don't know that he's put any money in anything. I don't think this legislation has passed. It's just being introduced. So he's the one coming out that they put out to sell it to people. So Jay-Z is what's the word? What's the word that we like to use? Jay-Z is a coon. Jay-Z is he is that. Because look, let me tell you something about charter schools and private schools. We have an excellent example of what charter schools have done to public schools, like Ricky said, in New York City. But we also have an excellent example in Chicago, where Rahm Emanuel, remember, in the Obama administration, let Betsy DeVos into Chicago, and they completely destroyed the public school system by implementing all these charter schools. Same thing happened in New Orleans after Katrina.
Yes.
I don't think there is a public school in New Orleans now.
So
They are all charter schools. And
mhm.
here's the problem with charter schools. Most charter schools don't really do anything different or better than public schools. They are not better performing than public schools. That has been proven now, beyond a shadow of a doubt. They are money institutions. All they do is suck money from the public schools and from public tax dollars,
Mhm.
right? The other problem, and that's a problem, because the public school system in this country, the one good thing I can say that this country that came out of the founding of this country was the public school system for poor, well, not really poor people, but landless people. It started, I think, in Pennsylvania with, and that, oh my God, I just realized that this man is pushing this in Pennsylvania, which is the fucking birthplace of public schools in this country. Oh my God.
Yikes.
This is devil work.
Yeah.
This is evil work, because the other part of charter schools and these voucher programs is that they take public tax dollars
It
that
is.
should be going to public schools, and they shift them to not just charter schools, not just private schools, but private religious schools.
Mhm.
And let me tell you something, as a Christian, I hate that shit. That should not be done.
Yeah.
If you want to send your kid to a Christian school, cool. There are plenty of churches that have them. that you can, and they make a lot of money off that shit too. And that's fine. I don't have a problem. That's what they want to do. That's fine. You want to send your kid to that school, send them to the church school. That's cool. But my public tax dollars, y'all's public tax dollars should not be going to pay for kids to go to First Baptist Church in Glen Arden's K through 12 school. No. Because why? Because the church is a tax exempt entity, which means that everything connected to the church is a tax exempt entity. So the church is taking your tax dollars to not pay for their school because they still charge tuition.
Yeah. You made a good point, Jackie.
Huh?
I said you brought up a good point, because that's actually a major problem in the Midwest and with the Catholic schools, because they're still busing. So they're busing children to these Catholic schools with the premise of that that tuition money is being funded by the state. So children have to wake up super early. I'm always reminded, like I love this scene in Martin, because I'm a huge Martin fan. But when he lost his job and he was selling the Whitty Hutton T-shirts with Brother Man, and he was saying Brother Man can't read, but it's not his fault because they was busting him to the school and he wasn't getting no sleep. Right? So I always think about that when I talk about these schools and what's actually happening, because again, these are not a benefit to any of the students. And to your point, one of the issues with our tax dollars going to these private institutions or these Catholic schools for education or to educate our children is that there are there's no state regulations, right? So everybody has sort of free will to treat our students any kind of way. And this includes disability rights for students, right? We're not obligated to protect children with disabilities in these schools, and do not. Not in charters, not in these Catholic schools, and with our tax dollars.
Yep. And then they tell us that we don't have any say in what they do, right? Because because I've known parents who had kids, and there's a Catholic school not too far from here, and I don't know anything about the school, but somebody did something to one of the kids, lady who lives in the neighborhood here, and she was like, I'm gonna go up to that school, I don't care, I'm gonna tell them nuns, blah blah blah. Man, she came back, she was like, they told me I ain't had no right to say that. I was like, well, that's what you get when you send your kids to them damn people.
Yeah.
And you put your kid in a public school, they're gonna be all right.
And only, again, what organizers are saying in Pennsylvania is at the very most 1,000 students will be helped, right? How many students are in the public education system in Philadelphia alone? So if it's only 1,000 students, then what is the point? Who is this benefiting? So uplifting 1,000 students out of thousands of students in low performing schools will shift. Is that what we're trying to say here? So I do think that these things need to be really examined, because I don't think personally that it's just a happenstance that all of these celebrities are investing in education in this particular way, right? And when you mentioned Chicago, Common has a school. There's so many charter schools that celebrities have invested in. Even Kanye had his own school for a second.
I'm like, how do these people? And it's gotten me thinking, Ricky, if these people can invest in or start a school, how come we can't? I mean, the question, of course, is, do we want to? No, I don't think we want to. I think we want to.
I think we do. I think we do advocate for that in a way, but I think that also we're not organized to, and then
exactly
right, and then there's no incentive for these people to say, you know what, let me invest in community organizing, right?
That's right.
Because people they love LeBron's school, and it's just like, okay, well, we're years in now. What has significantly shifted in that city? The advent of that school, and those are things that we really have to think about. To what extent is the community involved in that school?
Right.
Right. But I get it. I do, because there's been an argument that has been made, right? especially in Marxist terms. If we understand, we got to we'll use the state until we overturn it, right? So there's certain institutions and things that we have to um, sort of take a handle on, and
Mhm,
education is one of them, right?
mhm.
But I don't know if the LeBron James model is that, right? So, there's a comrade who I love dearly. Shout out to Kings that, we struggle about this. I get it. Because when you look at socialist countries, right?
Mhm.
That institution, that sort of dual power, that is a model. But
Mhm.
is it this model? And
Right, right.
I,
Right. I mean, it is a different thing in socialist countries because that is the community control over the over schools, with full government support. This is what we don't have here, the full government support part. If we had the full government support part, like the public school system was supposed to be, like it was implemented in the first place, I'm pretty sure it was in Pennsylvania. If it wasn't Pennsylvania, it was Massachusetts. I know it was one of the New England states, um, but or one of the first colonies. But if we had the full backing of the state for public schools, the way it was set up and intended to be, then public schools would be free. They would be completely funded by the government because that's how it was designed to be. Because even the rich people at that time who set up this electoral system that doesn't represent all the people, they understood that they had to do something to counteract that. When people found out, oh wait, this isn't really a representative government. I don't really have representation. These people don't represent me. So what did they decide to do? They're like, well, look, we can't have all of the landless gentry, all of the landless poor people ignorant, because eventually they're going to run for office. We want them to vote, so we want them to know what they're voting for. So we have to educate these people,
Mhm.
and we have to pay for it. That's the least we can do if we're going to exploit them, you know. So that's what they did, and
Mhm.
then as it spread throughout the states, some states were like, okay, yeah, educating the masses is good and everything, but we're not going to pay for all of it, So that's how it got eroded. And then, of course, since I'm from Virginia, the civil rights struggle became like the flashpoint in education, where in states like Virginia, the governor closed down the public schools to avoid integration. And the white people opened up a bunch of private religious schools for the white kids, and everyone's tax dollars in Virginia paid for those private segregated academies that
Mhm.
still exist, some of them in Virginia, by the way. So this kind of thing is not new. It has been done. The attack on public schools has been, and understand that Republicans hate public schools for the same reason that public schools were created, because they're supposed to educate everyone.
Mhm.
And Republicans don't want every. Paul Weyrich said in 1986 at a Republican convention, and Paul Weyrich is one of the founders of the Heritage Foundation. Yeah, he said this in a public convention that was taped. Paul Weyrich said, people have this problem that I call goo goo government, that they think the government is a good thing. They think more government is a good thing. They want everyone to vote. Paul Weyrich said, I don't want everyone to vote, because at no point in the history of empire or whatever it was did power come from everyone voting. We only want the people that we want to vote so we can win. Please understand that the Republicans do not want everybody to have everything or anything, really. They have made that clear. They are not separate. They have not separated themselves from Paul Weyrich's doctrine of not having everybody enjoy government benefits or participate in the government process. They don't want everybody to participate in the government process. So they've always done that. And when I recognize that the Republicans have never backed off their message, never. ever, and you have Black celebrities continuing to do business with Republicans, first of all, how smart are these people? Obviously, they're not. You don't have to be well read to know that the Republicans are not your friends. And I get people are confused about the Democrats, but come on, you know the Republicans are not your friends.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like I can't look at this situation as you know, oh, Jay-Z is just trying to help. No, he's being used, but he's okay with being used because he's getting paid, I'm sure. But I also understand that there is a lack of knowledge here that serves only one purpose and one entity, and that's the entity that stands to make the most money from this move, and it's not us.
Yeah. I think I mean, maybe, yes, certainly he's being used, but I don't think he's unwillingly being used, right?
Oh no, he's not a victim. No. He's like, give me the check.
Right. It benefits the brand, though, because even if he's not making a check from this is monetary for the brand. Because then Rock Nation gets to do all this press about all the good things that they're doing, right? Rock Nation is beyond music. Look, we're in community. We're over here. We're over here. It's astroturfing, right? But also, to your point about Republicans and the alignment with Republicans, especially in certain points, there's a class interest, right? So even when we talk about we should know that Republicans are bad, we're talking about people who are essentially billionaires, right? Because that's how it's slated in the article. We have 2 billionaires coming together for this endeavor, right? Whether Republican or not. So there's a class interest that exists there. And what we're witnessing too, I mean, Nkrumah has said this, right? He's elevated imperialism as the highest stage of capitalism to name neocolonialism, and we are at the point where we're seeing neocolonialism and neoliberalism collide in these endeavors, right? Because all of this privatization is happening under Black faces, right? When we look at what's happening in these predominantly democratically led cities with Black Democrats,
Right, Black
like
leadership,
London Breed.
mayor, city
Yeah,
council. Mm-hmm.
London Breed does not get enough smoke. I'm
No,
telling you, I have this theory, right? That these Black women politicians with these pixie cuts and these bobs
it's the Bob.
up, right? They are pro police. But London Breed is the outlier, right? Because she got the tresses. They right? She got her side part and she got the long hair, but her ass is not it. She's just as bad. So, and she doesn't get enough because when you look at what's happening in the Bay Area alone, that population and what's happening with the encampments and how, so there is this collusion between neocolonialism and neoliberalism that we are in this moment right now, right? So everything and it's being dressed up as this is a benefit. We want seats at the table. I mean, how many praises did Erykah Badu get when she wanted to open the school? Or Diddy had the school in Harlem? I think they snatched that shit away, though.
I think they did, and rightfully so.
I think they took
And rightfully so.
take a couple steps back. But Diddy had the school in Harlem, right? So this is a thing that's happening, and it's for our children, and we have to really get to recognize these systems and the motivations and in this empire and how we're being used as colonial subjects.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, and Ear Doctor, I want to hear what you have to say. The funny thing is, this feels to me like all of these iconic rappers and musicians or whatever.
Good
I don't know what that was.
No, it was Ricky. After I
was like, wait, oh Lord,
put
is
your
it my
phone
time?
on mute earlier, but
It was like, wait, Jesus, no, it's just come on.
That was Jay-Z's people calling. He's like, y'all need to shut that shit down.
But you know what this feels like to me? All of these celebrities getting involved in charter schools. It feels like the celebrities getting involved in liquor branding. It really does. It feels like the same thing to me. It's like the same what do you call it? Blueprint. And it just that's what it just feels like to me. It's like another rapper pushing a new brand of liquor. They're all jumping on this charter school bandwagon, just like they jumped on the liquor bandwagon.
I will say this and started off by saying big up to the charter school that has funded my after school program, summer program, and program coming up in the fall. which I'm able to teach stuff that the regular public schools and teachers can't teach. So I think at the same time, a lot of these public schools curriculum is pretty much outdated, and I think you get more leeway possibly if you put up the funds in a charter school to bring forth somewhat of a more updated curriculum that has more stuff in there that's usable by the students.
So why don't you do that in the public schools? Why don't you take those resources and
I,
make and update the curriculum for all of the kids in the public schools?
well,
So
that's
that
what I just said. It's like you're able to have more leeway with these schools that's more private and
no, most of our kids will go to public school. Most of our kids will never see the inside of a charter school or a private school.
yeah,
Even if you
but
send your kid to, I
aren't
mean,
most public schools government funded and stuff like that?
and they should be.
So with that said, do you think
And
the
they should
government
be,
with
but
that?
you understand
I
that the
thought you
funding of
asked me a
public
question.
schools is very unequal.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. The government funding of public school is because they don't really want you to learn.
No, no,
I mean
no,
think about it. Why
no.
would they want you to get ahead? They want you to be workers. That's what school is about.
Well, okay, so a charter school does what? It's not going to produce workers
Well, I
too.
tell you what the charter schools do allowing me to do right now is allowing me not to do
Let me
workers.
quickly,
This
right?
ain't work.
Wait, well,
Produce work.
hold on.
I'm saying, well, I'm able to do mental health. I'm able to do some show other opportunities of what you can do in this. Yeah, what we saying, Ricky?
Well, I'm just gonna say like that's dialectics, right?
I don't even know what that word means. But
And see,
That's what I'm about to tell you. There's a
wait, what does that mean? NC? I went to a public school.
the charter school is so much better and teaches you
right
so much
because you
more.
can have that if there's a good and a bad, right? So we can name those
Yeah.
things. Your naming is anecdotal, right? Because my son goes to a public school, right? That allows for that. They do yoga in the school. They have events. I mean, we have galas and carnivals and our PTA nights are at the skating rink, right?
Mhm.
But that isn't because the parents in this community invest in that public school that is government funded and state run. They allow for me to do liberation through reading at that school because I'm a part of the PTA, right? So again, but that's anecdotal. Is that every public school?
Right.
No.
No.
Is that every charter school?
Say that
No.
No.
your
Exactly.
experience in a charter school is what all charter schools provide, right?
I
Because
never
in
said that.
Jersey, look at charter schools in Jersey, right?
Oh.
They have gutted teachers unions.
Mhm.
How many children are criminalized in the schools in Jersey just over sneakers? Like that happens daily, right?
Mhm.
And when you are in Atlanta, that's not the same case, right? The material conditions is different. The relationship that you have with that school is a personal relationship you have with that school, right? So
Mhm.
they allow for things. They allow for you to do certain things, right? That's a different thing than regular people who send their kids to charters or send their kids to school and don't have that personal relationship, right? So the expectation of what charters provide and what they actually do it's two different things, I think. And then
Yeah.
you have to take an account of your personal relationship. It's not like, oh, they're letting anybody come in and do these things. No, they're letting Air Doctor come in and do these things because they know you. They believe in the work that you do, right? That's it. But the same. They allow me to do liberation through reading in my son's
Mhm.
because
Right.
they know me and they believe in the program. And also they don't offer that to their school.
So let's shit on these public schools too for their old ass curriculum that they're not updating. Let's shit on let's spread this shit all around. Can we
No,
do that?
I'm sorry, but where are you getting that from? That public school curriculum is outdated.
It is.
I'm not shitting on charters though. What I'm saying, Air Doctor, is there's a fundamental problem with privatization.
Yes.
Mhm.
You're talking about state run. The state run is not the issue. The issue about state run is that we don't have any political power. But we don't have any political power regarding these private schools either.
Like, we have less political
You're
power.
using your personal relationship with this one school as an example of what all charters do when statistically what charters provide, especially for children who have disabilities, is
Mhm.
not the same. Because in state-funded schools, they have to provide for children with disabilities.
Exactly.
Charters do not.
That's right.
It
Charters,
sounds like
a lot of charters
Y'all sound like y'all caping for public schools, though.
I'm
just wondering.
caping for community control.
Ooh, I got her
And I don't
revved up.
see,
I love it.
and I don't see,
Oh,
and I
Ricky
don't see
turned
the
it red.
problem, and I don't see the problem with public schools, because public schools in wealthier neighborhoods are very well funded, because you know that public schools are funded by tax revenue, by property tax revenue specifically. And it was designed that way by the government so that rich people could have better control over their public schools, and poor people, people who live in the city, people who live in apartment buildings, because they don't pay property taxes, then their public schools are funded more through budgets from the city councils and whatnot. So the people, working class and poor people, have been taken out of having input into the public school system in their communities, where in rich neighborhoods, it's a completely different story. It's the same thing with the police. The police in rich neighborhoods, them people have community control over their police. Because if one of them cops does something those people don't like, they will go down to that station and say, get rid of that motherfucker.
So I'm gonna say
And
this
they
in
will.
mind,
But
because
poor folks in our neighborhood, we don't have that kind of power. The
okay,
cops kill one of our kids, we go to the police station, and they're like, we're going to arrest you too.
well, I'm gonna say this in mind because we got guests coming in. We don't want to have our guests be like, I don't want to go in that house. They arguing.
That's right. No, Rafiki gonna come right on in.
Nah, but then it comes down to your neighborhood then, because the charter school I'm at is right on MLK. So, I mean, some public school can be in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood. So it depends on your neighborhood, like how much do you support it and how much you put into it. So school's a school, depending on what you do with it.
No, and the point is, it shouldn't be like that. That's
I mean, shit, we in America, a lot of things shouldn't be like that. But anyway, let's go.
You conceding to the point. Thank
Huh?
you. I appreciate you conceding to the point.
Yes,
No.
thank you very much.
What?
Yes, let's get to the guest. Yes.
Boy, that's,
Put into it. Community control. Thank you.
y'all,
Yes.
y'all just like to win arguments. Huh?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I could see y'all relationships trying to not be cool. Just as long as I won an argument.
Mm.
Well, let me go ahead.
Don't be visited by the spirit of Abdus. Don't do it.
You won. You won.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure.
All right.
Won the argument. Yeah.
All right, let's go take a quick break right here as they throw tomatoes at the ear doctor for being so trill. All right, let's do it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Unroll your eyes and fix your face, Ricky.
I like tomatoes too much. Throw them at you.
Welcome to the Remix Morning Show, y'all, where we don't agree on everything, but we agree that liberation is the key to getting to the next level. All right, big up to y'all tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare. And yeah, share like you care. All right, boom, you know what it is. Make sure y'all tune in Sundays for the Sundays radio mix. With that said, let's go ahead and give you a remix on the remix before we bring in our guests.
When I first laid my eyes upon you, I knew right then and there you were the one. Heart so deep you send me melting, and then you smiled as if to say, oh yeah. But then you seemed to change your mind. You looked away like you were oh so shy. It's the game you're playing hard to get. Won't you tell me? Want me? Did you want me to touch you and to hold you tight?
Yo, big up to Jody Watley as we represent her when she released this in 1987. That's right. Do You Want Me? Big up to Jody off her album, Jody Watley. Mixed with a little bit of Set It Off from Strafe in 1984. Quick remix on the remix. Now let's get back to the remix crew. You know how we do. Set it off!
Time to be my friend again, ear doctor.
What up? What you say?
Time to be my friend again. Trying to get my faces. That's why you playing Jody.
I mean, I try to make sure they know some other Jody Watley songs since we gave her a nice little spotlight.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, I guess it's time to bring in our guest. So let me get up out of here and let y'all do y'all thug thizzle.
The fizzle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You want to do the intro?
Nope. You do it. Go ahead.
No, I'm talking to the producer.
Oh.
Peace, peace, peace. I'm
Peace.
really excited about this conversation, especially coming off that last segment. We talked about youth and education. So we have some members of Black Alliance for Peace, Baltimore Citywide Alliance here to talk about this weekend. We have a bunch of events that we've been doing with the youth, but this weekend we will be having a town hall. So we have Rafiki Morris from the All African People's Revolutionary Party, which is a member organization of the Citywide Alliance, and Jamila Alexander, who is part of the All African People's Revolutionary Party and the African Women's Revolutionary Union, here to speak about the town halls and what we've been doing. So welcome to you both.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so last segment was interesting, right? Because speaking of town halls, last month we talked about that sort of privatization of Baltimore City public schools and nonprofit industrial complex, right, and how they intertwine. So we've been doing a lot of focus work on building up youth, getting youth voices out there, not only with these town halls, but supporting these encampments. So I do want y'all to give a little briefing on why we're doing the town halls, and then also, what's going on this Saturday. Whichever want to start.
Jamila had to start this one.
I got you. So pretty much, yeah, the purpose of us doing these town halls are really to address the material conditions that Africans and other colonized people here in Baltimore, by extension of Maryland, what they have to deal with every single day. So we're in there promoting political education, understanding like the hypocrisy of the contradictions that are inside of the Democratic-led state and city that we live inside of, and also talking about and exposing like the militarization of the policing here in Baltimore City and Maryland abroad, and how that's connected to all of the issues regarding like healthcare, our educational system, public transportation, etc. So yeah, the purpose of these events are really to just introduce this political education to our audience, which is the community members. And then through that, we're also just activating each other's minds and asking ourselves, okay, why are we even here? What is the purpose behind what is going on in the city? How do we unite together against these forces? So that's just like an overall.
Yeah, and I thought Jackie had left us.
No.
Yeah, this the town halls in general, like Jamila has said, are an attempt to engage the community in serious discussions about the things that affect our lives. It is a community forum, and we hope to develop it into a community action forum. In particular, this town hall is dealing with the question not only of youth and their relationship to the city and the city government, but youth in relationship to capitalism and imperialism and the ongoing struggle to bring an end to the suffering of Africans in Baltimore, in the United States, and around the world. We firmly believe, and it has been shown through these student encampments that the students are in fact the spark of the revolution, that the students in fact are the leading edge of the political struggle that we are engaged in with these capitalist and imperialist pigs. And I say pigs, and I mean just that, even though I am a pig eater. And I do think it's an insult to all pigs to call police pigs.
Because they're
But
not tasty.
yeah, and well, I don't know. We might have to find out at some point.
Hey.
But the thing is, our youth are often ignored, pushed aside, um, not consulted about the things that affect their lives, and not even looked at as significant players in the struggle to improve the world and improve our lives. And in reality, we can't do any of these things without the active participation of our youth, A, and B, that participation has to be organized. That these youth have to come together, organize themselves, identify the objectives that they're going to pursue, and then collectively engage in an ongoing movement to achieve these objectives that we have.
Let me ask you, Jamila, how difficult is it? Because, adults, and I've heard it all my adult life, and at some point I probably said it myself, forgetting that I was a knucklehead teenager at one point too, because I think past 25 or 30, we all think we grown and we suddenly forget, how terrible we were as kids. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to work with kids because they're difficult, and they don't listen, and they got all this other stuff going on, and the sagging and the rap and how hard is it to work with kids in our neighborhood? How have you found it?
Well, for me, it's a little different than other people, I think, because I come from a background of not looking down on people. So my situation is just a little bit different, where I'm able to go into different communities, if I'm there canvassing, or if I'm there with a action or whatever, and I can talk with people like I care about them, because I do. And people, especially here, I've noticed they really can tell when you want something out of them versus when you want to have a conversation with them and you're trying to get their opinion, not to like push anything that you're doing other than just hearing them out. And the youth, especially here, I would say, I'm gonna be very specific about this particular area that we're in, DC and Maryland. They ask us for help, and we are like they have an idea, and then we're the phone that they pick up and they call. If they're in something that they're struggling through, they call us and ask us for like that support. And this is not just through me, who's a little bit closer to their age. This is through like Rafiki. This is through Erica. This is through you, Jackie. They see all of us, and they don't really view us from a certain age, but as people that have had experience through doing this before. So yeah, I would genuinely say there's like hiccups, but that's with organizing people. And if we keep on throwing the excuse out there that they don't listen, which is just 100% not true, at our panel on Saturday, we'll literally be having a high schooler who is homeschooled, who actively organizes, and her parent is in the party. So yeah, you take what you get, and you organize that. So I yield there.
That's good stuff. And since she brought you up, Rafiki, I mean it, and I gotta say, we've talked about this several times, and I have to tell you, this is the first, maybe the second time in my life I've seen something like that. That where you have a bunch of young people who, you know, a lot of older people would walk by and go, "Oh my God, all those kids," you know, and then someone like Rafiki comes in, and it's like the parting of the waters, you know, and these kids, they open up and then they surround him like you ain't touching him on pain of death. And I mean that. What has that been like for you, Rafiki? I mean, have you had that experience before? Because I kind of feel like the little bit of time that I've known you, I kind of feel like this is not like new to you. This is, you've done this a couple of times before. What's it been like, you know, having these kids receive you and us the way they have?
Wow. It's different and it's the same. Um, you know, I've been in this the All African People's Revolutionary Party and the Pan Africanist movement for a long time. I won't say how long, but for a long time. And for most of that time, I was a youth organizer, particularly working with college students and activist youth in our communities. So I've never experienced this thing of youth that don't want to talk and don't want to listen and don't hear and don't understand and don't care. And those kind of comments to me are just anecdotal statements. They're being made by adults who themselves are not organized and therefore do not have an access to the youth in an organized way. We have found over the years that there's a kind of a science to this thing, organizing. And you don't just automatically get a bunch of youth to do anything, right? Among them, there are the same sectors that exist among our general population. So we have some that are inclined to engage in revolutionary activity. We have some, a large number, who are aiming at careers and looking for wealth and prestige and personal aggrandizement. And you have those that are in the middle. They're neither revolutionary nor reactionary and have not yet determined what their political perspective is going to be. So it's in that context that we go among the students. The new part has to do with the current realities that we're engaged in. We and Jamila is correct. We never imposed ourselves on these student encampments, but we were drawn into the encampments because we had a relationship with those students and their youth and their organizations before October 7th. We did not decide on October 8th to be against what is happening in Palestine. And the students are aware of this. We have been engaged with them in political education for a very long time. We have been engaged with the Palestinian Youth Movement and Students for Justice for Palestine for quite some time. And in my party, we've been fighting Zionism for over 50 years. So when we came into their environment, it was in the capacity as ideological political support for the efforts of the students. And that ideological political support developed to the point of actually being a strategic partner, where they were asking us what we think they should do next, how they should organize themselves, what kinds of education they need to implement within the encampment. We did not educate those students. They educated themselves and they included us in that process. So this is the thing that struck me. And then them kids are a trip, you know. I mean, it was not it was like they adopted us. It's not us adopting them. They brought their parents to meet the adults who've been engaged with them in this process. The parents, in fact, thanked us for the efforts that we were making, while we thanked them for giving birth to these revolutionary kids who was willing to stand up to capitalism and imperialism without fear and without favor. So, I disagree with the idea that our youth are stupid, slow, uninterested. No, some of them are. Yes,
Mhm.
some of them are actually anti our movement. But the reality is that the majority of them would like a better life, would like to see a better world, and are willing to engage in the struggle to bring those things into existence. And they will willingly align with whoever is engaged in that kind of work and struggle. They trust us, and I think that that is the key. That, like Jamila said, they trust us not because we know so much, but because we are honest. We tell them the truth. We
Mhm.
do not cater to them. We tell them what the reality is, whether they like it or not. And that is the relationship. And I think that it's been very instructive to me uh, personally and rewarding. They call me Uncle Rafiki. I don't like the word uncle because it implies I'm old and all this kind of stuff. But
It's endearing and
it's
without
endearing, and
yeah.
that's the relationship that is a trusted relative and friend. And at the same time, they're connecting with the youth inside of our organizations, becoming not only comrades but personal friends. We're
Mhm.
intimately connected to these people, and they are our people. So, we had a really and continue to have a strong relationship with these encampments, and not just here in DC, but all over the place.
Mhm.
Jamila, I do want to ask in terms of the town hall, which is entitled Youth and Resistance. Hold on one second. In terms of the town hall, I am interested in hearing what you all just said. Like, what can we do to build stronger alliances between youth groups and community to fight against like the conditions that we know, specifically in Baltimore, like the curfews, the juvenile justice bill, this constant surveillance, what's happening with the squeegee boys, essentially, right? Because if we're talking about youth and resistance, we're seeing that there's a multitude of ways that we've seen that happen in the city, with the youth taking on their own roles, right? We see that with Good Kids, Mad City. Like there's a plethora of organizations, Black Underground, for instance. So there are organizing that's happening with the youth, but how do we connect what they're doing in their own kind of siloed ways with what we're doing here? Like how do we help them understand domestic the way that we talk about domestic imperialism or internal colonialism? Like how do we close those gaps?
Yeah. So step one, us as organizers, our job is to, after we are around each other, to like continue to build that relationship, so we can start having that sort of like trust, where they can see that we're not there's this trend in, I think, every city, but specifically here in Baltimore, everyone's siloed off to the side, in their own little groups, kind of doing all the same thing, but don't want to talk with each other or like work alongside each other if it's in a coalition or partnering up with a certain project. They would rather not do it. They prefer to keep it all in their own bubble. And so it's like really important for us to like, one, build that relationship with these individuals inside of organizations, or as these organizations as a whole, so they can see that we mean what we're doing. We're not here to just pluck. We're not here to pluck anybody. We're here to forge real political education and a real ideological understanding of what our conditions are here in Baltimore. And we're not trying to cut around the fence. So I would say like that's number one. The most second thing to that is just really the political education, and just understanding, like I said before, but not only where we're at, but how the propaganda that is pushed out around us is projecting these ideals that we'll see a lot of people talking about. So, like, for example, our town hall this Saturday is about the youth, and how long it got us to talk about, I mean, youth organizing youth and youth rising up against repression. But the main thing about it is the fact that here right now in Maryland for the past 4 years, there has been like this really, really like large campaign between Maryland and DC actually against the youth. So from the squeegee boys washing cars to that propaganda about them being annoying and aggressive and in the way, to a white man getting out his car with a bat and attacking children, to him getting murdered because he came out and attacked children in Baltimore City. And then the state's attorney at that time, Marilyn Mosby, that y'all know so much about, pressed adult charges against this child. And then that criminalization around that here in Baltimore. And then while that was going on up here, there was also the carjackings down in DC, where I think a 12 or 13-year-old girl stole a car from someone who's delivering food. And unfortunately, the man passed away during that ordeal. And how it was now, oh, all these children are carjacking, and we need to put restrictions on children in DC, in Baltimore. They're fighting at the harbor. They're fighting at the malls. We have to have curfews again. We have to do all these. So there's been things that have been happening since 2020 that have been ramping up to what we see now, where we have these bills here in Maryland, the juvenile justice bill, which is directly targeting youth, expanding like the range between where you can charge youth. And Maryland already is leading in like incarcerating juveniles out of all the states in the country. So just keep that in mind. And it's the majority of them are African children that are locked away in these prisons. And so the point that I'm trying to make is pretty much that people don't know the fact that there's all this propaganda that is working against them to be set up for them to be accepting of this bill, that bill, the crime bill down in DC, and then not having the understanding of like, okay, well, why are these kids fighting? Why are these kids, if they're stealing cars, why? If they're out there washing windows, why? And it's because of the fact that this is a failing empire. There's no money available for anybody. The children are being priced out of their neighborhoods that they grew up in their communities. They're being pushed out into the middle of these counties with no public transportation system, no support, really not anything but the idea of it looks nice and clean and maybe, right, depending on where you're at in Maryland. And so like we have to push it back against the propaganda. We have to help our citizens and our people know that, hey, this is not the real story that they're presenting on Fox News. This is the real story. And that these youth are ready for anything, really, because they're so fed up with what is going on with them inside of their lives. So instead of turning against them, we have to help them channel that anger towards the movement and get them ready for a revolution. So I'll yield there.
Figgy, did you want to add?
Only to say, they are our children. If they're going to criminalize us, you know how they're going to treat our children. And we know the tactics. This is a continuation of the divide and conquer approach to social transfer, social whatever. I mean, they want to separate us from our youth. They want to separate the youth from our parents. They want us fighting amongst each other. We're fighting to get them to adhere to laws that are designed to deny them education, deny them employment, incarcerate them, recruit them into the armed forces, and in various other ways, take them away from what they need to be doing to improve our people's lives. And our youth often feel abandoned by the adults who have not yet move to organize themselves, to empower themselves in Baltimore and throughout the country and throughout the world often, then now react against the students who were moving to do what the adults refused to do.
Mhm.
So we don't condone this condemnation of the youth, and we see specifically like this crime bill and the carjacking in Baltimore. Okay, yeah, it's true. Some of these young people are jacking cars. But it's also been determined that the primary cause of carjacking in Baltimore is organized criminal activity designed to take these cars off the street and sell them. This is not being done by cars. This is and it's been disrupted by the knocking down of the Key Bridge, because that's
Mhm.
how they was getting them cars out of the city or in containers. So this is a criminal enterprise that is being blamed on 16-year-old kids. No, it's not 16-year-old kids. We didn't see no legislation about stopping the criminal enterprise of organized crime that's stealing cars all over the metropolitan Baltimore area. We didn't see any bills about that. We saw bills about locking 15-year-olds up as adults and treating them as adults and putting them in prisons, not juvenile detention centers, prisons. So we understand this. This is an attack on us as a people. And we would be foolish to let these folks divide us from our own children, you know. And but even more than that, the children are just people. They are young people. And young people today, I'm sorry, they know a whole lot more than we knew when we were young. They have a whole lot more data, a whole lot access to a whole lot more information, access to a whole lot more tools and capacities that can contribute to the organization of us as a people in general. And we think that this is what they need to do: organize and come together. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna wrap up here. I do want to say, Rafiki just dips off. Very freaky. No, I do want to say to your point, and I think to what Jackie was saying earlier about your ability to make things clear, especially around the youth. Like Rafiki has my son. Looking for Zionism to smash. He's always like, "Where is that Zionism?" And then he has that sort of clarity. But I think more importantly, what we will witness, because obviously as elders with experience, there is a clarity there. But to your point about the youth being a lot smarter and wiser than we are, this Saturday we will actually have a chance to hear from them. So the panel is all youth. They'll be speaking to their conditions. They'll be speaking to their fight back about their conditions. They'll be speaking about how they organize themselves, and then their connection with organizations, one of which is a member organization of the Baltimore Citywide Alliance. So we'll be hearing from a high schooler, a grad student even, because remember, youth technically is 35 and under, a grad student, even someone who's currently in college, right, undergrad. So we're looking to hear from all of these different areas of youth and their ways that they are fighting back against the repression in Baltimore City. Yes, why masks? Because we encourage all kinds of safety and we look out for each other and mutual comradeship. That's why masks. That's also why we provide childcare and food. So if you would like to show up and hear from the youth and support this organizing and our attempts to base build with community through these town halls, you can come on June 15th. Doors open at 12:30. Program starts at 1 o'clock at Douglas Memorial Community Church at 1325 Madison Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland. Please show up, ready to support the students. Yeah, thank you so much, Rafiki. Thank you so much, Shamila. Ready for revolution. I'll see y'all on Saturday.
Ready for revolution.
Indeed. Oh, good stuff. Just exciting. Funny, we were talking and I just heard from one of the students at Howard. They're like, I'm still in DC, Aunt Jackie. I'm like, please stop calling me Aunt Jackie. But it's like, it's okay. All right.
I know.
All right, cool. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? That's
Ain't nothing like
it's
working with the
interesting
youth.
that whenever somebody's like, oh, nobody's doing this, that, and the third, and here we are actually doing it. And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, ain't nothing like working with the youth. They keep you young. It's a beautiful thing, and they keep you inspired to keep moving and doing what you're doing. Hey, big up to Jay Baldwin. Sounds like the ear doctor is doing what he can to create positive change in his community. I
Aren't we
appreciate.
all, Jay Baldwin? Aren't we all?
I thought this was about me, real quick.
Isn't
Why
it
is
always?
it about you? Why is it about you?
I was just a shout out from after everybody ganging up on me in the chat room. I
Oh,
mean,
I miss
they.
ganging up on you. What happened?
Everybody's
Oh
doing
my
what they can.
goodness.
But again,
I
this is
mean,
science.
I do things a little different around here, but let's not forget what I do.
What
know?
do you do?
Well, Black Man's Lab been going on for like 5 years. Been working with the community doing that. Remix Morning Show, 3.5 years, 3 days a week. Been here producing, and also one of the co-founders of this channel. So I think I've been doing a little something.
Yeah, so that's all right. That's nice.
I mean, it's cute.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
little things.
Wow. Thank you, comrades. I guess I gotta say that to be down with y'all. Boy, I tell you.
No, but I wanted to say to you, ear doctor, I love
Yeah.
your shirt.
Thank you.
I love that's a
Yes, it
nice
is
that's a
spiritual.
really cool, that's a nice
Working
a very
on it.
true sentiment too. I
Very,
like
very
that. It's
true.
very nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I make shirts too. So for capitalism.
I appreciate
You
art
the
for that.
radical, you the revolutionary capitalist. Is that what you're
Yeah,
trying to
you know, but
I don't
the
know.
Kamal says that I can't be a capitalist. I'm broke, so I get it.
No, that's not why you can't. You own nothing. You own no means of production.
I own this IP. Is that what it is?
no.
Okay.
No, you don't.
Intellectual property.
Mm.
I
No, that's
do
just
own
your
that.
brain. That's not that's just
But yeah, people, let's get from behind our computers and actually go get some work done. And,
Didn't you just tell Jackie to sit behind her computer and do work?
that's
But,
isn't
I mean,
I'm just saying I'm so confused.
But Jackie
can the work
Jackie.
be done behind the computer?
You got beef for me, Ricky? Because what I'm saying is Jackie puts in the work,
No.
and she does the work behind the computer, not just talks about people. Am I wrong? Oh, okay. Are we good, Ricky? All right. All right.
I get the answer.
No, I ain't giving you an opportunity.
Wow.
Right. Hey, are we gonna talk any? Is Biden's son even anything to talk about, or we just?
I don't think I
All right.
care that much.
I got you.
I mean, we could discuss a little bit for the kicks and giggles. I do think that New York Times, I seen the headline that it said that Trump's conviction and Hunter Biden's conviction is now putting the justice system in question, right?
In question?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I didn't mean for that laugh to be as robust as it was.
Yeah, interesting, because the justice system was working just fine.
Right.
Trump. And
Ooh,
then
it was so perfect.
a week later, now people have some questions.
I mean, and people are asking like, or I saw on the news, they were like, oh, heroically, Biden will not pardon his son if he is convicted, because he could do that as president. It's like, oh my God. There are other things happening.
That's the whole thing. I was kind of paying attention to it when the whole laptop thing first happened, and then the New York Times was like, "What laptop? There's no laptop. That they made that up." And then the laptop actually existed, and then the New York Times had to walk back their claims that it was no such thing. It was a Republican trick, and now they're like, "Well, yeah, I guess there is a laptop." Early last year. And then they dismissed the things on the laptop. So they admitted the laptop existed finally. But then they wouldn't validate that there were damning things on the laptop. And so, of course, I think the case against Hunter Biden has nothing to do with any of the stuff that's on that laptop, which really is the problem, because that laptop does contain information about deals with the Ukrainian oil company that Hunter Biden was involved in, that of course his father helped him get that job at Burisma. It contains, I am convinced that there is information on that laptop that directly links Biden and maybe even Obama to the Ukraine conflict, or at least to the 2014 coup.
Well, they are directly linked.
Right. And they are directly linked, but people don't know that.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I think the files on that laptop are the paper trail to prove that. I could be wrong, but I don't see any reason why the entire media is ignoring this laptop. Now that they've admitted that it exists, and Hunter Biden is on trial for a gun charge, I think.
Yes.
When he was, in the midst of his addiction and all this kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, I just look at that and I'm like, yeah, that laptop is far too important to have been left out of all of this. And I think probably 10 years from now, we're going to find out exactly what was on the laptop. And of course, by then it's going to be too late, because by then Ukraine is not going to exist.
Right.
Yeah, well, to your point, if you go to the communists, a couple of years back when the impeachment was happening, I wrote about it. Like, the impeachment really has nothing to do with us, right? As it was being slated, because after the ousting of the coup in 2014, Hunter Biden accepted his position, right, on that board, just as the corruption investigation of the natural gas company was beginning. So they were in the midst of a corruption investigation, and then Hunter Biden ends up on the board.
Right.
And then he was being paid $50,000 a month. Now, this man who has no experience in any of this is now getting paid $50,000 a month. And this is all record. Like, this is not anything that, like, I'm speculating. This is all, you can cite sources and things like that. But when you say that, like, there's a direct connection, when we talk about the Council of Foreign Relations, Biden sat on a panel with Michael Carpenter. Carpenter is Biden's former subordinate at the White House, and he pushed for the coup. He also has ties to the neo-Nazi speaker, is it Andre Parabi or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember his last name.
Nationalist Party and the Patriot of Ukraine Party. So to say that these people have direct ties is but I didn't even think about what he was actually charged for. Like the gun thing, I was like, oh, I didn't even hear about guns.
Right.
That was the least of I heard about the drugs.
Right.
The more interesting thing about the trial is the ex-wife had to take the stand.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The ex-wife had to take the stand.
Right.
And the brother's wife, who he dated after the brother died. Very mixy. And that's what I'm like, how do we talk about
actually?
Okay, because you go listen, Trump has that the siblings and the children in Trump's family is wild. But Hunter Biden, I don't even think Bo was cold. Was Bo cold yet?
I mean,
dynasty though, right? Like,
that rigor mortis had not gone down yet before he was in bed with his brother's
he was
wife.
This went on for 2 years. They had a relationship. It wasn't like a little fling. They were in a relationship. So the kids were like sister cousins. It was weird. Obama is running for president.
They are Catholic.
and let's not forget,
man, seriously.
Yeah, and let's not forget the outside grandchild that the Bidens don't even acknowledge. Well, that Joe Biden doesn't acknowledge, because because she is the child of somebody that Hunter was dating while he was in the midst of his addiction. that was not his brother's wife. It was somebody else. So Biden doesn't even recognize that child, the grandchild. And the whole thing about the gun charge was weird because there was no crime committed with the gun, but because he was doing drugs and he had a previous conviction, I think, he according to the law, he wasn't supposed to have a gun at all. So
What?
that was the reason that he was on trial, because apparently the girlfriend or an ex-girlfriend, somebody said they threw the gun away. So I'm like, why is there a trial? So it's a mess. It's a big mess, but it's also an incredibly insignificant mess
Yeah.
compared to what they should be talking about, which is that damn laptop.
Yeah. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
do love that
Goes
these
to
two
jail.
candidates are like,
Someone in the chat said he might get sentenced, but not even see the jail. So
yeah,
I think that's possible. I don't see Hunter Biden going to prison. I
I know
don't, you know,
everybody hates that.
you and me and y'all and all of our folks, we would be under the jail.
under.
I
we
know.
would definitely be in jail. But Biden, I don't see it. And if it happens, I'm certainly willing to be wrong, and okay, cool. But I think there will be a guilty verdict for something, but I don't think there's going to be any jail time.
He's been guilty on all counts. So he's been charged as guilty. So I don't know if he's actually going to be there, but who knows?
I mean, I think of all of the things, it's really interesting that people were celebrating, the 36 guilty counts against Trump. And I'm like, okay, so he's not guilty for bombing Syria for no damn reason. He's not guilty for assassinating General Qasem Soleimani. He wasn't on trial for the deaths at the border from his policies. He's not on trial for any of the things that have caused all of these horrific excess deaths around the world, from his mishandling, or not even mishandling, his refusal to do anything about COVID, to stop the spread of COVID in this country. He's not on trial for any of those things. He wasn't on trial for any of those things. And I certainly feel bad for the women that he abused. They should get their justice. I don't have any hate for Stormy Daniels. Good for her. But
She's
Trump,
a wild one, though. She's a wild one, that Stormy.
I mean, but when you think about it, it's like only somebody like that could have taken on Trump, right? Only somebody that could match that energy could take him, yeah. But he has not been tried or convicted for any real crimes that he actually committed. And this is true of every president, because Obama should be at the Hague too. Obama should have been in the Hague at the beginning of his second term, to tell you the truth, after we all found out exactly what he was. Bush, obviously, both of them in the Hague. All U.S. presidents should be in the Hague. So anytime somebody is on trial for something that's connected to a president, I always look at it and say, well, I guess some people are not above the law, but that's only in kind of a tertiary kind of sense. It's not, they're never held to account for their crimes against humanity. It's always some little petty BS that they can trot out and say, see, the justice system works, while there are all these corpses all around the world that nobody is being held accountable for. So, Hunter Biden gets charged, Donald Trump gets charged. What changes?
Biden's still running around here free. Barely.
I'm serious.
Barely.
Free a corpse. A free corpse funding genocide, fueling genocide. That just, yeah.
Funding genocide, funding occupations, funding.
But hey, Trump got found guilty of 36 charges of, man, come on.
And he's still gonna win and be president. So it's like, I'm not sure why you're talking to me about this. Like,
oh no, let me say that. Project 2025. Quickly though, can I just say, people need to calm
Tell it.
Yesterday, I went back.
Please.
Yeah, I went back to look at the comments and stuff yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be clear. These things have been underway for a long time. Now, Jackie, when you Aiken, what was said by the founder of the Heritage Foundation, who is the Heritage Foundation are the writers of this over 800-page document. That
Mm-hmm.
if you read it, because it's 800 pages, I know y'all not reading 800 pages. I know it. But if you go through it, or even search some keywords, pull up the
That's it.
PDF and search some keywords, and you will see a lot of these things have already been implemented. Look at the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Look at the stacking of the Supreme Court. And people are talking about rights that will be taken away. What rights do you have now?
It's looking very
No, I'm
no
very
rights at all.
serious because we're talking about, we just went through this whole thing about youth repression, right? But
Mhm.
that is a product of the lack of education, the lack of housing, there's
Mhm.
no safety nets. All safety nets have been gutted completely
Yep.
by both parties, right? So because there's no safety nets, the Project 2025 is well underway.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
well underway. And we can't talk about a thing and then act like, oh, if Trump, because we played this game already. We played this game in 2020, in 2016. We played this game in 2020. We played this game.
We ain't doing it no more.
Yeah, fascism, and we're going to vote in fascism is going to come. Look at our conditions now. A cop city cannot exist, or attempts to create cop city cannot exist throughout the country if fascism wasn't already here.
Come on. I mean, it's so funny because people started talking about this Project 25, this document last year, and they're like, look at this. And I like, people I know were just like calling me and emailing, Jackie, have you seen this? Like it's a new thing. And I'm like, I've been talking about this. Me and Abdus were talking about this when we started our show on Blog Talk Radio in 2015. Like this is Plan or Project 2025 is, I swear they started this in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
They started this with the moral majority. We were telling y'all about this then.
I think anytime there was a push, or anytime any colonized group gained any rights, I think that was when they, started that pushback with the opposite effect. So now we have abortion pills being classified as controlled substances. I mean, this is only because they brought, abortion was done and dusted. That was there, but now we're having this debate again.
Well, it's been a consistent debate, and to Jackie's point, since the 80s. And I always say the 90s is understudied because when we look at the level of organization that took place from then, it's why we're seeing what we're seeing now. Talk radio.
God. Because
people talk about all those those Phil Donahue and all those kind of shows, but they underestimate talk radio. Well, the skinheads ran talk radio. Those late night stations, they ran talk radio in the early 90s, right? And we're seeing that same sort of framework in mainstream media, where you have pundits, right? And you just have conversations. Nobody has to cite anything, and there's no opposing view. Because that's why C-SPAN exists. C-SPAN exists to show those opposing views, to show those open debates. That's why C-SPAN was created. You don't see that anymore. And that's the product of the Telecommunications Act. But the 90s is so understudied in terms of how these people have set up themselves to be in the position where they are now. This is not a Trump thing. This is not even a Bush thing. They've been doing this shit since the end of the last Bush, all through the administration, because they have organized themselves to be in a particular position to encapsulate and take over. That's why they consider themselves here. That's why they have a base and a block. They understand political power. They built political power, probably from studying our shit.
That's exactly what they did, Ricky. And I've been talking about this for years, and people keep saying, "Oh, but they, the Republicans have money." This is not about money. Yes, it's true. They have a lot of money. That's true.
And organization.
The Democrats. And the issue is not that the people who are organized against them don't have money. Yes, that's an issue, but that's not why they have the power they do. It's organizing. It is their organization, and they did steal every tactic of successful organization from where? The civil rights movement. They
Yeah.
sat back and watched what we did. And what did we do? We went into churches and organized people in churches. We went into schools and organized kids in school. We walked door to door and we set up mutual aid. What was the foundation of the Montgomery bus boycott other than an enormous, well-organized mutual aid and resistance operation? We did that. And the right sat back while they were sending the cops out in the streets to break our heads. They were taking notes.
Mhm.
And then they turned around after the Civil Rights Act was passed in Capitol Hill. Even though the Republicans signed the legislation, they didn't sign that legislation until it was watered down enough that they could stomach it, so that they would have a little bit of time to begin to implement some counter legislation to weaken the act even more. So in negotiating the legislation so that they would sign it, the Republicans were successfully able to take all of the meat, all of the enforcement out of the Civil Rights Act. Because what's the point of criminalizing discrimination if you're not actually going to punish anybody for discriminating against people? The Republicans did that, but the Democrats let them. You understand? That was it wasn't like the Republicans came in and like, the fights that we see in like the Korean Congress or whatever. They didn't come in there punching folks in the face. And no, it was a gentlemanly conversation between the Republicans and the Democrats. And we got the Civil Rights Act that we got, which was pretty much garbage. But the Republicans saw how we organized to get to that point, to get into power, to get into the seat of power.
Yeah.
And they took it and ran farther than it. And we're sitting here not recognizing that they stole from us, and the very things we won't do today, they've done, and they continue to do. So we sitting here, we mad at this group of people. I'm not gonna mess with Christians. I'm not gonna mess with people who aren't vegan. I'm not gonna mess with people who ain't this. I'm not gonna mess with and the Republicans like,
Right.
do you want power? You
Yeah,
do? Come on in.
Exactly, Jackie.
Come on in.
Not altruistic. They're not, because we know that they don't like each other. We all know whites don't get along.
No.
Whites do not get along. But there's a point of unity there, right? They have there's a point of unity, and I think that that's really what's being missed here. And then to the larger point, I mean, I guess geopolitically, when we look at when we talk about organization, right? Pan-Europeanism, that's NATO. That is, these are countries that have historically fought and warred, right? But they know they have a common point of unity in terms of Western hegemony and spreading it all over, right?
Yep.
So the only defense against that sort of organization is a Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism defeats Pan-Europeanism. Uniting ourselves and being organized defeats all of this.
Exactly. And this is why I continue to say, and I will say for the rest of my life, we don't organize with the right. We do not organize with people who do not have serious anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, anti-Zionist, anti-patriarchy, anti-ableism. No, we organize with people who are invested in people-centered human rights for all people. If you got a problem with one group of people, then you can't rock with us, because we don't do that. We don't do that. And we're never going to apologize for that, because in the history of this country, in the history of struggle, whenever leftist forces join forces or try to organize with the right wing, the right wing never becomes left. The left always becomes right wing. Always. Every time it has happened.
Right.
What you say?
I said, shout out to social democracy.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
Women Wednesday strikes again, y'all. It's a Remix Morning Show. We about to get up out of here. I'm about to go take a nap. Listen.
I'm gonna play in my dirt.
Oh, nice. Go get some of that vitamin D out there, y'all. Go get some of that sun. Anything coming up before we get up out of here real quick? Yes, no?
Yeah, I think
Saturday. Again, let's plug
Well,
Saturday again.
And I also seen something right here. Support African grassroots organizers
Mm-hmm.
for their
Oh,
delegation.
my favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
Hold
So,
on, hold
yeah.
on. I have
So,
one
y'all.
thing quickly. Ja is it would like me to share this quickly. Oh yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
If you can support African grassroots organizers for their delegation, they're meeting goal. They're trying to reach goal. They'll be going on an important delegation. So this is both the AAPRP and BAP. So help them. And if you appreciated what Jamila had to offer, allow for them to leave the country and take some of that good organizing in and bring it back so that we can really activate and move Baltimore.
Right. Somebody in the chat is asking, when does that GoFundMe end?
The sooner you can give, the better.
I was just about to say.
Like right now.
They waiting for their check to come in Friday, so stop playing.
Hey, look, that's
That's a real deal. All
And
right,
then
y'all.
come out
Well,
on Saturday.
huh?
And then come out on Saturday. Oh, two things. Tonight we'll be at the Nicaraguan Embassy. Sorry, Doctor, I know you want to get out.
Oh, great.
We'll be at the Nicaraguan Embassy talking about Puerto Rico and Nicaragua solidarity in the zone of peace. So if you are in DC, you come to Nicaragua and see that out. And then PACA has an event tonight too. You can check that out on PACA's website, pacapower.org, or you can go on their Instagram. And sorry, your doctor.
no, it's all
We're
good.
also busy, you know? We are also busy.
A lot.
That's right. We are all busy, y'all. So make sure y'all continue to support us as we continue to work for the people. All right. With that said, we are out of here. The Remix Morning Show. Y'all don't even think we need a mix. So
That is never true.
Wow.
That is never true.
Look at him.
you know I'm ready. Come on, y'all. Let's go. We out of here. Once again, the Remix Morning Show, y'all. With a remix on a remix.
Who wants the record? Must be the hood.
We outta here, y'all.
It pushes a man would come up and give up my raising the blast. I put it past him. He's got juice. How long will it last him? He's getting back at the pumps that harass him. Ask him, what's your main hobby? He'll say that right. Nothing like a me for the robbery.
Johnny is good for the longest while. I never you try to fall another man Kyle.
Remix Morning Show. We out.